Hello, friends, and welcome to Conk's Corner, the corner where I read Harry Potter for the very first time to a bunch of people I've never met before, but who have become friends of mine. It's pretty great. Yeah, I'm reading Harry Potter for the first time. If you're tuning in for the first time, please do not spoil any, post any spoilers or anything leading questions, anything like that coming up, because I'm coming to the end of the 5th book. What currently just happened is that Umbridge discovered Peter Potter trying to communicate through the fire in her room, and Hermione came up with a brilliant plan to lie to her and to lead her to a different part and probably flush her down a toilet. Something like that. Okay, so before we start this, a couple of gifts I got. So first of all, my parents for my birthday finally arrived. They sent me this chair, and it's so comfy, and it's the best for my neck and back. For my neck and back. Obviously, today's going to be a really good read because my words are on point. My words are on point. But yeah, this is just such a good chair. So my parents, my brother, and his wife, they put their money together and got me this amazing chair. It's so awesome. Also, Janessa sent me in the mail this. It's a mask. Wait, I don't know if you can see it. Let's see. There we go. The Gryffindor banner on it. Sent me this. Isn't that awesome? And also this bracelet with the colors on it. Pretty rad. Pretty rad. Thank you so much. Pretty rad. Okay. So, also yesterday I had a day off, and I can move my neck fine, but man, oh man, I had some of the most intense pain I've had in the whole experience. It actually, like, incapacitated me. I was just doubled down on the floor. It was crazy. Anyway, things are getting better, and then the health practitioners I'm working with, they said, yeah, you're gonna have some bad days, and that was one of the bad days. Yeah, Janessa says she's there in the chat. Thanks so much. That was awesome. Okay, let's get back into it. This is the intense part. I don't know what's gonna happen. We're in the last couple of chapters, although there's still a lot to read. So I'm guessing we're gonna have around 7 or 8 more reads. That's my guess, but I could be totally off. It could be 14. Who knows? Depends also how long I go on certain days, etc. Okay, so let's turn this off because I know we have some intense music, intense stuff going on. Let's get some. I'm going to put in some more colors now that I've a bit more time in the coming days. I'm going to be changing up some of the sounds and colors. Rather than changing up, I'm going to be adding some stuff to put on top of it. All right, let's go. Let's go. Chapter 33. Fight and flight. Not fight or flight. Fight and flight. Harry had no idea what Hermione was planning, or even whether she had a plan. He walked half a pace behind her as they headed down the corridor outside Umbridge's office, knowing it would look very suspicious if he appeared not to know where they were going. He did not dare attempt to talk to her. Umbridge was walking so closely behind them that he could hear her ragged breathing. Hermione led the way down the stairs into the entrance hall. The din of loud voices and the clatter of cutlery on plates echoed from out of the double doors to the great hall. It seemed incredible to Harry that 20 feet away were people who were enjoying dinner, celebrating the end of exams, not a care in the world. Hermione walked straight out of the oak front doors and down the stone steps into the balmy evening air. The sun was falling towards the tops of the trees in the Forbidden Forest now, and as Hermione marched purposefully across the grass, Umbridge jockeying to keep up, their long, dark shadows rippled over the grass behind them like cloaks. "It's hidden in Hagrid's hut, is it?" said Umbridge eagerly in Harry's ear. "Of course not," said Hermione scathingly. "Hagrid might have set it off accidentally." "Yes," said Umbridge, whose excitement seemed to be mounting. "Yes, he would have done, of course. The great half-breed. Oh." She laughed. Okay, wait, what's her laugh like? It's just like a little yay between her laughs. Big fan from India, Epidemic. Thanks for tuning in. Glad to have you here, Epidemic Play. Okay, she laughed. Harry felt a strong urge to swing round and seize her by the throat, but resisted. His scar was throbbing in the soft evening air, but it had not yet burned white hot, as he knew it would if Voldemort had moved in for the kill.
Then, where is it?
Asked Umbridge, with a hint of uncertainty in her voice, as Hermione continued to stride towards the forest. She is going to get Umbridge clobbered by Grawp! She's gonna get Umbridge clobbered by Grawp right in your stupid frog head. Oh man, Umbridge is gonna be squished into the roots of the trees. She's gonna become a little twig. I hope. I hope that's what's gonna happen.
In there, of course,
said Hermione, pointing into the dark trees.
It had to be somewhere that students were going to find it accidentally, didn't it?
Of course, said Umbridge, though she sounded a little apprehensive now.
Of course. Very well, then. You two stay ahead of me.
Can we have your wand, then, if we're going first? Oh, can we have your wand, then, if we're going first? Harry asked her.
No, I don't think so, Mr. Potter,
said Umbridge sweetly, poking him in the back with it.
The Ministry places a rather higher value on my life than yours, I'm afraid.
As they reached the cool shade of the trees, Harry tried to catch Hermione's eye. Walking into the forest without wand seemed to him to be more foolhardy than anything they had done so far this evening. She, however, merely gave Umbridge a contemptuous glance and plunged straight into the trees, moving at such a pace that Umbridge, with her shorter legs, had difficulty in keeping up. Premonitions this session, 0 out of 18. What are you talking about? What you talking about? Huh? Premonition rules. Is that a premonition? Oh yeah, I guess I should have hit the... Premonition. It's time for Drops and Crush and Break. Yeah, it's a premonition. For sure.
Is it very far in?
Umbridge asked, as her robe ripped on a bramble. Oh, yes, said Hermione. Yes, it's well hidden. Harry's misgivings increased. Hermione was not taking the path they had followed to visit Grawp. But the one he followed 3 years ago to the lair of the monster Aragog. Hermione had not been with him on that occasion. He doubted she had any idea what danger lay at the end of it. Are you sure this is the right way? He asked her pointedly. Oh, yes, she said in a steely voice. I give you my premonition. Oh, glasses! My gosh, I forgot once again. Thank you for reminding me, Deborah Battle. I gotta put my glasses on, Deborah Battle. If it wasn't for Deborah Battle, I wouldn't have my glasses on. Okay. There we go. I'm kind of missing the top stroke. I'm gonna try doing it mirrored. Is this right? Yeah. I kind of got it. There we go. Like a cheese shredder to my ears. That's such a bad scar. Hey, Mark! Hey, Mark! How you doing in Toronto? I hope you're doing well. Where were we? She said in a steely voice, crashing through the undergrowth with what he thought was a wholly unnecessary amount of noise. Behind them, Umbridge tripped over a fallen sapling. Neither of them paused to help her up again. Hermione merely strode on, calling loudly over her shoulder, "It's a bit further in." "Hermione, keep your voice down," Harry muttered, hurrying to catch up with her. "Anything could be listening in here." "I want us heard," she answered quietly, as Umbridge jogged noisily after them. "You'll see." Hermione is the best character in the book. They walked on for what seemed a long time, until they were once again so deep into the forest that the dense tree canopy blocked out all light. Harry had the feeling he had had before in the forest, one of being watched by unseen eyes. Have you ever got the feeling of being unwatched? Nobody cares about me. I got this strange feeling that nobody's watching.
How much further?
Demanded Umbridge angrily from behind him. Not far now, shouted Hermione. as they emerged into a dim, dank clearing. Just a little bit. An arrow flew through the air and landed with a menacing thud in the tree just over her head. The air was suddenly full of the sound of hooves. Harry could feel the forest floor trembling. Oh, 1 second here. 1 second here. Oh, wait. 1 second. I thought, I set up the Dexter cam, but apparently it's not working out right now. Oh, well. Oh, there it is. See, you got Dexter cam. I didn't realize it wasn't there from the beginning, but there he is. There's that little boy. Okay. Where are we? Yeah, right. The air was suddenly full of the sound of hooves. Harry could feel the forest floor trembling. Umbridge gave a little scream and pushed him in front of her like a shield. He wrenched himself free of her and turned. Around 50 centaurs were emerging on every side. Yes, their bows raised and loaded, pointing at Harry, Hermione, and Umbridge. They backed slowly into the center of the clearing, Umbridge uttering odd little whimpers of terror. Harry looked sideways at Hermione. She was wearing a triumphant smile. Who are you? Said a voice. Harry looked left. The chestnut-bodied centaur called Megorian, what the differences again, was walking towards him out of the circle, his bow like those of the others. If somebody wants to give a quick overview of the main three centaurs who are speaking since last time, that'd be awesome. That would be great. Firenze is not there, right? Right. Firenze is not there. That's what you premised, right, John? 50 cent? Yeah, that's what I said. My gosh. Just keep it all Italian. Yeah, I know. But there was like differences in characters, right? Difference in centaur characters. Okay. On Harry's right, Umbridge was still whimpering, her wand trembling violently as she pointed it at the advancing centaurs. I ask to you, who are you, human? Said Megorian roughly.
I am Dolores Umbridge,
said Umbridge in a high-pitched, terrified voice.
Senior Undersecretary to the Minister for Magic and Headmistress and High Inquisitor of Hogwarts.
One is older and wiser, Bane. Right. Oh yeah, that Bane was. Yeah, that right guy. Okay. You are from the Minister of Magic, said Megorian, as many of the centaurs in the surrounding circle shifted restlessly.
That's right,
said Umbridge in an even higher voice. Okay. I'm gonna. I don't know.
Be very careful. By the laws laid down by the Department of the Regulation and Control of Magical Creatures, any attack by half-breeds such as yourselves on a human.
Okay. What the deed you call us? Shouted a wild-looking black centaur, whom Harry recognized as Bane. Was he the old wise dude? Maybe even New York Italian. Right. That was him. There was a great deal of angry muttering and tightening of bowstrings around them. Don't call them that, Hermione said furiously. But Umbridge did not appear to have heard her. Still pointing her shaky wand at Megorian, she continued,
Law 15b states clearly that any attack by a magical creature who is deemed to have near-human intelligence and therefore considered responsible for its actions.
Near-human intelligence? Repeated Megorian as Bane and several others roared with rage and pawed the ground. We consider that a great insult to human, our intelligence, thankfully, far outstrips your own. What are you doing in our forest? Bellowed the hard-faced grey centaur Harry and Hermione had seen on their last trip into the forest. Why are you here?
Your forest,
said Umbridge, shaking now not only with fright, but also, it seemed, with indignation.
I would remind you that you live here only because the Ministry for Magic permits you certain areas of land.
See, you started too high with Umbridge, and now you can't go much higher. Oh yeah, Shaylin? You wanna bet? Bane, Godfather, right? He's so happy with this when Jonathan makes himself laugh. It makes me, yeah, this, it's because it's so good. My Italian accent is very good. It is the best Italian accent. An arrow flew so close to her head that it caught her at her mousy hair in passing. She let out an ear-splitting scream and threw her hands over her head, while some of the centaurs bellowed their approval and others laughed raucously. The sound of their wild, neighing laughter echoing around the dimly lit clearing, and the sight of their pawing hooves was extremely unnerving.
The Godfather, yeah. Whose forest is it now, human?
Bellowed Bane.
Whose forest is it now, human?
Bellowed Bane.
Filthy half-breeds!
Yeah, take that, Shay. She screamed, her hands still tight over her head.
Beasts! Uncontrollable animals!
It doesn't even sound like her anymore.
Be quiet!
Shouted Hermione, but it was too late. Umbridge pointed her wand at Megorian and screamed,
Incarcerus!
Ropes flew out of midair like thick snakes, wrapping themselves tightly around the centaur's torso and trapping his arms. He gave a cry of rage and reared onto his hind legs, attempting to free himself while the other centaurs charged. Like incarcerated, incarcerus. Gotcha. Thank you, G Chicago. They're the same character, except for Renzi. What do you say? It is Bene. Bene! yeah, Josh. Okay, Harry grabbed Hermione and pulled her to the ground. Face down on the forest floor, he knew a moment of terror as hooves thundered around him. But the centaurs leapt over and around them, bellowing and screaming with rage.
No!
He heard Umbridge shriek,
No! I am Senior Undersecretary! You cannot unhand me, you animals! No!
Harry saw a flash of red light and knew she had attempted to stun one of them. Then she screamed very loudly. Lifting his head a few inches, Harry saw that Umbridge had been seized from behind by Bene and lifted high into the air, wriggling and yelling with fright. Her wand fell from her hand to the ground, and Harry's heart leapt. If he could just reach it. But as he stretched out a hand towards it, a centaur's hoof descended upon the wand, and it broke cleanly in half. Now! Roared a voice in Harry's ear, and a thick, hairy arm descended from thin air and dragged him upright. Hermione, too, had been pulled to her feet. Over the plunging, many-colored backs and heads of centaurs, Harry saw Umbridge being borne away through the trees by Bene, screaming non-stop. Her voice grew fainter and fainter until they could no longer hear it over the trampling of hooves surrounding them. Okay, she got dragged off into the forest by a bunch of centaurs. Man, oh man, I hope they trample her face to crap. Yeah, hopefully. Dobby Umbridge crossover. Give the people what they want. T, so that was totally Grop. T? Right, John? And the theater audience applauded. I don't know what you're talking about, Mark. I don't know why would you assume that they were taking Umbridge to Grop. I clearly said they're taking her to the centaurs. Anyway, that's okay. We all make mistakes sometimes, Mark. Okay, where are we? There we go. And these, said the hard-faced gray centaur holding Hermione. Slow, doleful voice. I don't know. They are young, said a slow, doleful voice from behind Harry. We do not attack fools. They brought her here, Ronan, replied the centaur who had such a firm grip on Harry. And they are not so young. He is nearing manhood, this one. He shook Harry by the neck of his robes. Please, said Hermione breathlessly. Please don't attack us. We don't think like her. We aren't Ministry of Magic employees. We only came in here because we hoped you'd drive her off for us. Harry knew at once from the look on the face of the grey centaurs holding Hermione that she had made a terrible mistake in saying this. The grey centaur threw back his head, his back legs stamping furiously, and bellowed,
You say, Ronan, they are already have the arrogance of their kind. So we are to do your dirty work. Where are we, human girl?
Oh, man.
We were to act as your servants, driving away your enemies like obedient hounds.
No, said Hermione in a horror-struck squeak.
Please, I don't think... I didn't mean that. I just hoped you would be able to help us.
Bad move, Hermione. But you seem to be going from bad to worse.
We do not help humans,
snarled the centaur, holding Harry, tightening his grip and rearing a little at the same time so that Harry's feet left the ground momentarily.
We are a race apart and proud to be so. We will not permit you to walk from here, boasting that we did your bidding.
We are not going to say anything like that, Harry shouted. We know you didn't do what you did because we wanted you to.
But nobody seemed to be listening to him. A bearded centaur towards the back of the crowd shouted,
They come here unasked. They must pay the consequences.
No. A roar of approval met these words, and a dun, D-U-N colored, don't know what that is, a dun-colored centaur shouted,
They cannot join the woman.
You said you didn't hurt the innocent,
shouted Hermione, real tears sliding down her face now.
We haven't done anything to hurt you. We haven't used wands or threats. We just want to go back to school. Please let us go back.
We are not at all like the traitor Firenze, you human girl,
shouted the grey centaur to more neighing roars of approval from his fellows.
Perhaps you thought us a pretty talking horses. We are an ancient people who will not stand the wizard invasions and insults. We do not recognize your laws. We do not acknowledge your superiority. We are...
But they did not hear what else centaurs were, for at that moment there came a crashing noise on the edge of the clearing so loud that all of them, Harry, Hermione, and the 50 or so centaurs filling the clearing, looked around. Harry's centaur let him fall to the ground again as his hands flew to his bow and quiver of arrows. Hermione had been dropped too, and Harry hurried towards her as two thick tree trunks parted ominously, and the monstrous form of Grop, the giant, appeared into the gap. Oh man, so Grop's here. Was that the last Italian Christopher Walken? Yeah, probably. Probably. They sound Polish. Is this Italian? Oh, it's all, yeah. It's just yes. Okay, Grop's gonna mess somebody up. Music's working. Check it out. Zit, 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 zit. The centaurs nearest him back into those behind. The clearing was now a forest of bows and arrows waiting to be fired, all pointing upwards at the enormous grayish face now looming over them from just beneath the thick canopy of branches. Grop's lopsided mouth was gaping stupidly. They could see his brick-like yellow teeth glimmering in the half-light, his dull, sludge-colored eyes narrowed as he squinted down at the centaurs at his feet. Broken ropes trailed from both ankles. He opened his mouth even wider. All right, okay. He hasn't had a voice yet, right? So it's really...
Hagrid talked about this. It's like... Hagar.
Harry didn't know what Hagar meant, or what language it was from, nor did he much care. He was watching Grop's feet, which were almost as long as Harry's whole body. Hermione gripped his arm tightly. The centaurs were quite silent, staring up at the giant, whose huge, round head moved from side to side as he continued to peer amongst them as though looking for something he had dropped.
Hagar!
He said again, more insistently.
Get away from here, giant!
Called Megorian.
You are not welcome among us!
He's a kid giant, remember? Right. Yeah. Right. It's too loud. The music's too loud? I like the voice of Grob. Good. These words seem to make no impression whatsoever on Grob. The music's too loud. Okay. Let me fix that for you. Where do I fix that again? Yeah, every time it gets to that rising part in the music, it just gets a bit crazy, doesn't it? Okay. Hope that's fixed. Okay, back to this guy, this big guy. These words seem to make no impression whatsoever on Grob. He stooped a little, the centaur's arms tensed on their bows, then bellowed, Hagar! A few of the centaurs looked worried now. Hermione, however, gave a gasp. Harry, she whispered. I think he's trying to say Hagrid. At this precise moment, Grob caught sight of them, the only two humans in a sea of centaurs. He lowered his head another foot or so, staring intently at them. Harry could feel Hermione shaking as Grob opened his mouth wide again and said in a deep, rumbling voice, Hermione. Goodness, said Hermione, gripping Harry's arm so tightly it was growing numb and looking as though she was about to faint. He remembered. Hermione! Roared Grob. Where? Haggar! I don't know, squealed Hermione, terrified. I'm sorry, Grob. I don't know. Grob want Haggar! One of the giant's massive hands reached down. Hermione let out a real scream, ran a few steps backwards and fell over. Devoid of a wand, Harry braced himself to punch, kick, bite, or whatever else it took as the hand swooped towards him and knocked a snow-white centaur off his legs. It was what the centaurs had been waiting for. Grob's outstretched fingers were a foot from Harry when 50 arrows soared through the air at the giant, peppering his enormous face, causing him to howl with pain and rage and straighten up, rubbing his face with his enormous hands, breaking off the arrow shafts, but forcing the arrowheads in still deeper. He yelled and stamped his enormous feet, and the centaurs scattered out of the way. Pebble-sized droplets of Grob's blood showered Harry as he pulled Hermione to her feet, and the pair of them ran as fast as they could for the shelter of the trees. Once they were there, they looked back. Grob was snatching blindly at the centaurs as blood ran down his face. I feel so bad for Grob. They were retreating in disorder, galloping away through the trees on the other side of the clearing. Harry and Hermione watched Grob give another roar of fury and plunge after them, smashing more trees aside as he went. Yeah, I feel really bad for him. Am I the only one thinking Grob's size is inconsistent? He seems a lot bigger. I don't think they said anything about it, did they? Maybe. No, said Hermione, quaking so badly that her knees gave way. That was so horrible. He might kill them all. I'm not that fussed, to be honest, said Harry bitterly. The sounds of the galloping centaurs and the blundering giant grew fainter and fainter. As Harry listened to them, his scar gave another great throb and a wave of terror swept over him. They had wasted so much time. They were even further from rescuing Sirius. Right, I forgot all about that. Than they had been when he had had the vision. Not only had Harry managed to lose his wand, but they were stuck in the middle of the Forbidden Forest with no means of transport whatsoever. Smart plan, he spat at Hermione, having to release some of his fury. Really smart plan. Where do we go from here? We need to get back up to the castle, said Hermione faintly. By the time we've done that, Sirius will probably be dead, said Harry, kicking a nearby tree in temper. A high-pitched chattering starting up overhead, and he looked up to see an angry bowtruckle flexing its long twig-like fingers at him. Well, we can't do anything without wands, said Hermione hopelessly, dragging herself up again. Anyway, Harry, how exactly were you planning to get all the way to London? We were just wondering that, said a familiar voice from behind her. Who is this? Who is this?
Who is this that does come upon us within the clearing? Harry and Hermione moved together instinctively, and peered through the trees. Ron came into sight, closely followed by Ginny, Neville, and Luna. The team is getting bigger. Book by book, they have more allies. Book by book, the team is bigger. All of them looked a little worse for wear. There were several long scratches running the length of Ginny's cheek. Ooh, a large purple lump was swelling above Neville's right eye. Ron's lip was bleeding worse than ever. Still, he was kissing everybody in sight. But all were looking rather pleased with themselves. So, said Ron, pushing aside a low-hanging branch and holding out Harry's wand. Had any ideas? How did you get away? Asked Harry in amazement, taking his wand from Ron. A couple of stunners, a disarming charm. Neville brought off a really nice little impediment jinx, said Ron airily, and handing back Hermione's wand too. But Ginny was best. She got Malfoy, Bat Bogey Hex. Bat Bogey Hex. It was superb. His whole face was covered in the great flapping things. What's that? Anyway, we saw you out of the window heading into the forest and followed. What have you done with Umbridge? She got carried away, said Harry, by a herd of centaurs. They left you behind? Asked Ginny, looking astonished. No, they got chased off by Grawp, said Harry. Who's Grawp? Luna asked interestedly. Hagrid's little brother, said Ron promptly. Anyway, never mind that now. Harry, what did you find out in the fire? As you know who got Sirius, or... Yes, said Harry. The scar gave another painful prickle, and I'm sure Sirius is still alive, but I can't see how we're going to get there to help him. They all fell silent, looking rather scared. The problem facing them seemed insurmountable. Maybe boogers coming out of your nose looking like bats? That could be, yeah. Well, we'll have to fly, won't we? Said Luna, in the closest thing to a matter-of-fact voice Harry had ever heard her use. Okay, said Harry irritably, rounding on her. First of all, we aren't doing anything if you're including yourself in that. And second of all, Ron's the only one with a broomstick that isn't being guarded by a security troll, so... I've got a broom, said Ginny. Yeah, but you're not coming, said Ron angrily. Excuse me, but I care what happens to Sirius as much as you do, said Ginny. Her jaw set so... Sorry, the book is a bit off here. Oh, there we go. Set so that her resemblance to Fred and George was suddenly striking. You're too... Harry began, but Ginny said fiercely. I'm 3 years older than you were when you fought you-know-who over the Philosopher's Stone. And it's because of me that Malfoy's stuck back in Umbridge's office with giant flying bogies attacking him. Yeah, but we were all in the DA together, said Neville quietly. It was all supposed to be about fighting you-know-who, wasn't it? And this is the first chance we've had to do something real. Was that all just a game or something? No, of course it wasn't, said Harry impatiently. Then we should come too, said Neville simply. We want to help. That's right, said Luna, smiling happily. I mean, that all makes sense. I feel as that putting that Ginny's really more like Fred and George mixed with Mrs. Weasley. Didn't want to give unprompted feedback. Yet you did, G Chicago. Harry's eyes met Ron's. He knew Ron was thinking exactly what he was. If he could have chosen any members of the DA, in addition to himself, Ron and Hermione to join him in the attempt to rescue Sirius, he would have not picked Ginny, Neville, or Luna. Well, it doesn't matter anyway, said Harry through gritted teeth, because we still don't know how to get there. I thought we'd settled that, said Luna maddeningly. We're flying. Look, said Ron, barely containing his anger. You might be able to fly without a broomstick, but the rest of us can't sprout wings whenever we... There are ways of flying other than with broomsticks, said Luna serenely. I suppose we're going to ride on the back of the khaki snorgle or whatever it is, Ron demanded. The crumple-horned snorkack can't fly, said Luna in a dignified voice. But they can. And Hagrid says
They're very good at finding places their riders are looking for. Oh, she's fun. John, Luna's is so great. Oh, good. Gotta love Luna's voices. Good. Harry whirled around. Standing between two trees, their white eyes gleaming eerily, were two thestrals. Oh, gosh. Thestrals. Please remind me again what thestrals are. Ah, completely forgot. Those are the demon horses only Luna and Harry can see? I can't remember anymore. Watching the whispered conversation as though they understood every word. Yes, he whispered, moving towards them. They tossed their reptilian heads, throwing back long manes, and Harry stretched out his hands eagerly and patted the nearest one's shining neck. How could he ever have thought them ugly? Skeletal horses with wings. Yeah. Okay, sweet. Is it those mad horse things? Said Ron uncertainly, staring at a point slightly to the left of the thestral Harry was patting. Those ones you can't see unless you've watched someone snuff it. Yeah, said Harry. How many? Just 2. Well, we need 3, said Hermione, who was still looking a little shaken but determined just the same. Oh, Hermione, said Ginny, scowling. I think there are 6 of us, actually, said Luna calmly, counting. Don't be stupid. We can't all go, said Harry angrily. Look, you 3. He pointed at Neville, Ginny, and Luna. You're not involved in this. You're not. They burst into more protests. His scar gave another, more painful twinge. Every moment they delayed was precious. He did not have time to argue. Okay, fine. It's your choice, he said curtly. But unless we can find more thestrals, you're not going to be able... Oh, more of them will come, said Ginny confidently, who, like Ron, was squinting quite the wrong direction, apparently under the impression that she was looking at the horses. What makes you think that? Because, in case you hadn't noticed, you and Hermione are both covered in blood, he said coolly. And we know Hagrid lures thestrals with raw meat. That's probably why these 2 turned up in the first place. Harry felt a soft tug on his robes at that moment and looked down to see the closest thestral licking his sleeve, which was damp with Grawp's blood. Okay then, he said, a bright idea occurring. Ron and I will take these 2 and go ahead, and Hermione can stay here with you 3, and she'll attract more thestrals. I'm not staying behind, said Hermione furiously. There's no need, Luna smiling. Look, here come more now. You 2 must really smell. Harry turned. No fewer than 6 or 7 thestrals were picking their way through the trees, their great leathery wings folded tight to their bodies, their eyes gleaming through the darkness. He had no excuse now. All right, he said angrily. Pick one and get on then. End of chapter. Okay. This keeps on going in new and surprising and fun directions. Harry's got ride or die friends. He's being a real stinker about it. Luna for the win, says Daphne Queen. This is why she's in Ravenclaw. Apparently. Just let them help. Thomas Roy, the Golden Trio teams up with the Silver Trio. Oh, is that what it's called? Is that what it's officially called in the fandom of Hogwarts? The Golden Trio and the Silver Trio? Not the... Well, for me, it's the Golden Trifecta and the Silver Squad. Yeah. I feel like Luna's voice would also work really well in a super creepy story. Probably. Chapter 34. The Department of Mysteries. Oh, here we go, baby. Hopefully we get some revelations here of what this is all about. I feel like the last book was pretty sneaky in terms of, like, at the end is like, here's all the things that are happening. Here are the crazy twists. And it was pretty damn surprising. Pretty damn good. Now, this one, I think, is even more just... This book is, like, you don't know anything. There's no real surprise. I mean, of course, there's revelations and surprises, yes. But in terms of what's happening in the overall book, there's just so many things where it's like, oh, Hagrid went off forever. And there's like, oh, I've been fighting giants. Oh, or I'm just trying to recruit giants. But there's like this overall thing here where it's just like, what is really happening throughout the whole book? We don't get anything. I think this is the most mysterious, the Department of mysterious book. This is like a central mystery that has not been explained or explored. 5 chapters left. Yes, book 5's plot is stretched. Isn't Silver the Slytherins is a lot of people's least favorite one because of that. Oh, okay. I like it. I don't mind it at all. I don't mind a good mystery. Actually, just really quick, I read an article that said, what's the... Certain stories have good mysteries, and certain stories have good secrets. The difference between the two is that stories whether it's filmed or in books, secrets are interesting because you want to know the revelation of it, the reveal of the secrets, and it's revealed at the end. Good stories that have mysteries in them, it's more like it's a mystery that can't. It's something that can't be solved, and it won't be solved. You can get certain answers along the way, but it's just something that is there, and it's the mystery. You know, so you're thinking about like Twin Peaks style. What else could I refer to? But anyway, it's all mysteries. You get answers, but it's more on the fringe. There's always something on the fringe. It's kind of like X-Files, right? The world of X-Files is always weird, and they get answers in different episodes. But just the world, it just feels like there's a mystery of the world, and you just won't get it answered. So that's probably... I wonder if the Department of Mysteries is similar to that, or if she has a different definition of what a mystery is. Or if it's more like a secret. Isn't Silver Trio Draco, Pansy, and Blaze? Blaz? Chapter 34. The Department of Mysteries. Harry wound his... Okay, let's change it up here, the music. They're flying. So let's do that. Harry wound his hand tightly into the mane of the nearest Thestral, placed a foot on a stump nearby, and scrambled clumsily onto the horse's silken back. It did not object, but twisted its head around, fangs bared, and attempted to continue its eager licking of his robes. He found there was a way of lodging his knees behind the wing joints that made him feel more secure, then looked around at the others. Neville had heaved himself over the back of the next Thestral and was now attempting to swing one short leg over the creature's back. Luna was already in place, sitting side saddle and adjusting her robes as though she did this every day, which she probably does. She probably does a whole bunch of stuff. She's basically, you know, Phoebe from Friends. She's the Phoebe of the Hogwarts world. Always just doing something where it's like, you're weird and I like you, but like she's a mystery. Luna's a mystery. Ron, Hermione, and Ginny, however, were still standing motionless on the spot, open-mouthed and staring. What? He said. How are we supposed to get on? Said Ron faintly. We can't see the things. Oh, it's easy, said Luna, sliding obligingly from her Thestral and marching over to him. Harry, and Ginny. Come here. She pulled them over to the other Thestrals standing around, and one by one managed to help them onto the back of their mount. All three looked extremely nervous as she wound their hands into the horse's mane and told them to grip tightly before she got back onto her own steed. Oh my god, she is. Luna is Phoebe. Yeah, 100% Phoebe. Hermione is Monica. Oh, here we go. She pulled him over... Oh, wait, okay. This is mad, Ron muttered, moving his free hand gingerly up and down his horse's neck. Mad. If I could just see it. You'd better hope it stays invisible, said Harry darkly. We all ready, then? They all nodded, and he saw 5 pairs of knees tightened beneath their robes. Okay. He looked down at the back of his Thestral's glossy black head and swallowed. Ministry of Magic, visitors entrance, London, then, he said uncertainly. If you know where to go. For a moment, Harry's Thestral did nothing at all. Then, a sweeping movement that nearly unseated him. The wings on either side extended. The horse crouched slowly and rocketed upwards so fast and so steeply that Harry had to clench his arms and legs tightly around the horse to avoid sliding backwards over its bony rump. He closed his eyes and pressed his face down into the horse's silky mane as they burst through the topmost branches of the trees and soared out into a blood-red sunset. Harry did not think he had ever moved so fast. The Thestral streaked over the castle, its wide wings hardly beating. The cooling air was slapping Harry's face. You like that, Harry? You like getting slapped in the face by wind? How about that one? Huh, Harry? Take that. Eyes screwed up against the rushing wind. He looked around and saw his 5 fellows soaring along behind him, Each of them bent as low as possible into the neck of their thestral to protect themselves from his slipstream. You know what this is? This is good mirroring. At the start of the book, the adults, all in a team flying towards Hogwarts. Now them, all flying towards London. And it's kind of like she's setting them up to be the new Order of the Phoenix. That's my premonition. I'm not going to do that with my neck. Nope. They're going to be the new Order of the Phoenix, for sure. At some point. Yep. Great point. Nice comparison. Never thought about that. That's a great observation. I don't think Hank Hill making a cameo on this. Oh, who's Hank Hill? That's not a premonition? Yes, it is. I'm saying something that's going to happen. All right. Where are we? Okay. They were over the Hogwarts grounds. They'd passed Hogsmeade. Harry could see mountains and gullies below them. As the daylight began to fail, Harry saw small collections of lights as they passed over more villages. Then a winding road. Oh, here comes the little buddy. Come here, boy. Come on, boy. Come on. Yeah, good boy. Come here. Come on. He wants to chill with me. Hey, there he is. Okay, Harry saw small collections of lights as they passed over more villages, and a winding road in which a single car was beetling its way through the hills. This is bizarre! Harry barely heard Ron yell from somewhere behind him, and he imagined how it must feel to be speeding along at this height with no visible means of support. Twilight fell. The sky was turning to a light, dusky purple littered with tiny silver stars. And soon, only the lights of Muggle towns gave them any clue. Let's see if I have anything purple. Do I? Is this purple? No. I got pink. Yeah. And I got this. So I guess we'll just do this. I know it's Umbridge, but Umbridge is out of here, so we'll just do this for the purple. And soon, only the lights of Muggle towns gave them any clue of how far from the grounds they were, or how very fast they were traveling. Harry's arms were wrapped tightly around his horse's neck as he willed it to go even faster. How much time had elapsed since he had seen Sirius lying on the Department of Mystery's floor? How much longer would Sirius be able to resist Voldemort? All Harry knew, for sure, was that... Oh, Dexter's in the way. Was that his... Godfather had neither done as Voldemort wanted, nor died, for he was convinced that either outcome would have caused him to feel Voldemort's jubilation or fury course through his own body, making his scar as sear as painfully as it had on the night Mr. Weasley was attacked. Sounds funny. Okay, Umbridge, more like Dumbridge. On they flew through the gathering darkness. Harry's face felt stiff and cold, his legs numb from gripping the thestral sides so tightly. But he did not dare shift his position lest he slip. He was deaf from the thundering rush of air in his ears, and his mouth was dry and frozen from the cold night wind. He had lost all sense of how far they had come. All his faith was in the beast beneath him, still streaking purposely through the night, barely flapping its wings as it sped ever onwards. They were too late. He's still alive. He's still fighting. I can feel it. If Voldemort decided Sirius was not going to crack, I'd know. Harry's stomach gave a jolt. The Thestral's head was suddenly pointing towards the ground, and he actually slid forwards a few inches along its neck. I don't want to move in case it kills me. That was a close one. They're almost killed me. The Thestral's head was suddenly pointing towards the ground, and he actually slid forwards a few inches along its neck. They were descending at last. He thought he heard a shriek behind him and twisted around dangerously, but could see no sign of a falling body. Presumably, they had received a shock from the change of direction, just as he had. And now, bright orange lights were growing larger and rounder on all sides. They could see the tops of buildings, streams of headlights like luminous insect eyes, squares of pale yellow that were windows. Quite suddenly, it seemed, they were hurtling towards the pavement. Harry gripped the Thestral with every last ounce of his strength, braced for a sudden impact, but the horse touched the ground as lightly as a shadow, and Harry slid from its back, looking around at the street where the overflowing skip still stood a short way from the vandalized telephone box, both drained of color in the flat orange glare of the streetlights. Ron landed a short way off and toppled immediately from his Thestral onto the pavement. And I gotta get like a nighttime light with like orange lighting and something like that, right? For these street light scenes. Never again, he said, struggling to his feet. He made as though to stride away from his Thestral, but unable to see it, collided with its hindquarters and almost fell over again. Never ever again, that was the worst. Hermione and Ginny touched down on either side of him. Both slid off their mounts a little more gracefully than Ron, though with similar expressions of relief at being back on firm ground. Neville jumped down, shaking, and Luna dismounted smoothly. Where do we go from here, then? She asked Harry in a politely interested voice, as though this was all a rather interesting day trip. She's great. I love her. Went for the jugular. I know. Like the purple lights the most, just saying. Cool. Okay. Let's see. Over here, he said. He gave his Thestral a quick, grateful pat, and led the way quickly to the battered telephone box and opened the door. Come on, he urged the others as they hesitated. Ron and Ginny marched in obediently. Hermione, Neville, and Luna squashed themselves in after them. Harry took one glance back at the Thestrals, now foraging for scraps of rotten food inside the skip, then forced himself into the box after Luna. Whoever's nearest the receiver, dial 62442, he said. Ron did it, his arm bent bizarrely to reach the dial. As it whirled back into place, the cool female voice sounded inside the box. Welcome to the Ministry of Magic. Please state your name and business. Harry Potter, Ron Weasley, Hermione Granger, Harry said very quickly. Ginny Weasley, Neville Longbottom, Luna Lovegood. We're here to save someone unless your ministry can do it first. Thank you, said the cool female voice. Visitors, please take the badges and attach them to the front of your robes. Half a dozen badges slid out the metal chute where returned coins normally appeared. Hermione scooped them up and handed them to Harry over Ginny's head. He glanced at the topmost one. Harry Potter Rescue Mission. Love that. Visitors to the Ministry, you are required to submit to a search and present your wands for registration at the security desk, which is located at the far end of the atrium. Fine, Harry said loudly, as his scar gave another throb. Now, can we move? The floor of the telephone box shuddered, and the pavement rose up past its glass windows. The scavenging Thestrals were sliding out of sight. Blackness closed over their heads. With a dull, grinding noise, they sank down into the depths of the Ministry of Magic. 62442, Magic. How so? In T9 word? Traditional cell phone keypad. Oh! That's very fun. That's a nice little Easter egg. We're almost, I think we can end, well, I'll read like one more page. Oh, one or two more pages. Yeah. A chink of soft golden light hit their feet and, widening, rose up their bodies. Harry bent his knees and held his wand as ready as he could in such cramped conditions as he peered through the glass to see whether anybody was waiting for them in the atrium, but it seemed to be completely empty. The light was dimmer than it had been by day. There were no fires burning under the mantelpieces set into the walls, but as the lift slid smoothly to a halt, he saw that golden symbols continued to twist sinuously in the dark blue ceiling. The Ministry of Magic wishes you a pleasant evening, said the woman's voice. The door of the telephone box burst open. Harry toppled out of it, closely followed by Neville and Luna. The only sound in the atrium was the steady rush of water from the golden fountain, where jets from the wands of the witch and wizard, the points of the centaur's arrow, the tip of the goblin's hat, and the house elf's ears continued to gush into the surrounding pool. Come on, said Harry quietly, and the six of them sprinted off down the hall. Harry in the lead, past the fountain, towards the desk where the witch wizard would wave Harry's wand. Alliteration. Towards the desk where the watch wizard who had weighed Harry's wand had sat, and which was now deserted. Never end, please. They know how phones work, but not pants. I started again, John. You are unleashed. Yes, allies. Yes, pants allies. Harry felt sure there ought to be a security person there. Sure their absence was an ominous sign, and his feelings of foreboding increased as they passed through the golden gates to the lifts. He pressed the nearest down button, and a lift clattered into sight almost immediately. The golden grills slid apart with a great echoing clanking, and they dashed inside. Harry stopped the number 9 button. The grills closed with a bang, and the lift began to descend, jangling and rattling. Harry had not realized how noisy the lifts were on the day he had come with Mr. Weasley. He was sure the din would raise every security person within the building. Yet, when the lift halted, the cool female voice said, "Department of Mysteries," and the grills slid open. They stepped out into the corridor where nothing was moving but the nearest torches, flickering in the rush of the air from the lift. Okay, I think that's a good place to end because obviously something's going to happen now. And we'll get into that tomorrow. All right. Yeah, as feel free to ask questions, but please, because we're getting towards the end of the book, no leading questions, nothing that has any hints to them towards what could possibly happen. What do I think could happen here or here, right? Please, no leading questions. Just any kind of questions that don't fall into that criteria of spoilers and leads. Yeah, this is pretty cool. So first of all, the Centaurs beating the crap out of Umbridge. Cool. Poor Grop. Just so concerned about his brother, not understanding anything that's going on, getting to the fight with all these centaurs. Flying on those Thestrals, pretty cool. And I like that the team has expanded from 3 to... Is it 6 now or 7? I think it's 6. Yeah. And now there are all these young kids are out into the Ministry of Magic. We're about to find something out. I'm looking forward to that. John, how would you handle flying on an invisible horse for hours? Okay, here's the thing. I've ridden on... the first horse I ever rode on, I might have already told you this, I can't remember. But I was at summer camp when I was younger, probably around 8 years old. Everybody was in a line, this is like a horse ride. Everybody got a horse. I got a horse that only had one eye. It was the first horse I ever rode, and so everybody was riding in a normal line, while my horse, for some reason, kept like going off into bushes, and I was getting whacked by bushes and trying to get out. I was like, get me out of here! This 8-year-old kid on a horse with one eye. And so also my groin does not do too well on horses. I know maybe guys get used to it, but I didn't. I've done it like 3-4 times, and every time I'm like, don't think I'll have kids anymore. Not first language. You said iteration. What it is? I know it but not what it means by grammar. Iteration. Iteration is different iterations, different versions of something. Do you think you and Hermione would be friends, or would she punch you in the mouth? I think I'm like more like Ron than most people in this book. Maybe, kind of, yeah. So I think me and her would be annoyed by each other, but I think I'd like her and she'd get along with me. Probably punch me in the mouth too. We all know the answer to this. Would you be able to see Thestrals? No. I have not seen somebody pass yet. That hasn't happened to me yet, so no. If Luna is Phoebe, which friend are you, John? Always Joey. I'm always Joey. Yeah, Joey, for sure. Isn't it nice, though, that Grop actually learned and remembered Hagrid and Hermione? Totally. Yeah, that's a really nice detail. He does care. He has a heart. He does understand. I got a fun fact from book 1. The words or inscription on the erased mirror can be read only by a mirror. Did you know that? No, I didn't. That is a cool fact. I mean, the Cowboys made it work. Yeah, they did. I don't know how. Important nobody. Lol, why can't Hermione do both? Be friends and punch. She can. She can do both. Thomas Roy, what's in the Department of Mysteries? It's the weapon, right? I think did I say that I think the weapon is a person? Yeah, or at least the weapon is something that makes a person a weapon. Yeah, a person who is the weapon, or something that makes a person the weapon, or something like that. Yeah. Erized, I showed not your face, but your heart's desire. Barbara, it's a very fun thing. Okay, Alicia Wincus, Mirror of Erized is whatever you said, John. You know you are 100% right. Thanks, important nobody. All right, friends. We're back tomorrow, Friday, before the weekend, for another session. I'm your therapist, John Voth, and we're gonna have another session tomorrow. Goodbye from me and Dex, wherever he is. He's lying behind me on the ground. Hope you have a wonderful night. I will see you tomorrow. That was a lot of fun, and I'm excited to see the rest of them. See you tomorrow for more